The historic automotive company, a symbol of American industrial power, made a radical shift by closing factories and laying off employees in various regions of the country. A public relations disaster and a slap in the face of Trump's economic manual. Imagine Trump as an angry child whose favorite toy broke, upset, lost, looking for someone to blame. General Motors revealed today that it will cut its workforce by up to 14,000 people. Eliminating 14,000 jobs sounds like something out of a TV drama. 14,000 jobs disappearing, 5 plants closing in the US, and just when it seems things can't get more surreal, Trump bursts in trying to save the day with a 200% tariff, as if it were a superhero movie plot. Spoiler alert, it isn't. Stay ahead of the curve with the latest in tech. Subscribe to Data Dollar now and never miss an update on the innovations that are shaping the future of business and technology. Join our community. This isn't America First, it's America in Shock. What GM did next was the most unexpected twist. Not only did they dismiss Trump's tariff policy, but they also confronted it head-on. While the president insisted on a trade war, GM made a decisive move that left the president unusually silent. But the big question is, how did GM manage to throw Trump so off balance? Instead of aligning their strategy with Trump's economic nationalism, General Motors bet on internationalization, and they did it boldly, focusing on the development of electric vehicles, a sector that barely figured on the president's agenda. We're talking about an investment exceeding $20 billion, destined for research, innovation, and tomorrow's technologies. Meanwhile, Trump kept betting on tariffs and tweets as if it were 2018. GM wasn't playing political chess, it was competing on a global scale. Their goal wasn't just to protect local jobs, but to ensure their future in global mobility. If this were a competition, GM would already be in another league. And then came the president's response, a dramatic 200% tariff. It sounded like the climax of a reality show, seeking to boost the ratings. But it didn't work. The factories didn't return, and the blow was directly aimed at the markets. Stocks plummeted, investors panicked, and financial chaos erupted as if it were a live show gone wrong. Ultimately, GM's stock dropped by 3% but quickly recovered. The reason? Their international earnings. In 2024 alone, GM made more than $32 billion outside the US. While Trump vented on social media, GM continued its global expansion in silence. The difference is clear. While the government improvises, GM has been building a global strategy for years. Because depending on a single country, especially one mired in internal trade conflicts, is a reckless move. Trump may make decisions that cost millions of jobs, but GM diversified its bet and did so smartly. Just look at the numbers. In 2024, more than 40% of their production was done outside the United States. They invested $1 billion to expand operations in China and India, 2 markets unaffected by US tariffs. That's not betrayal, it's strategic vision. While the president points fingers, GM is planning for the long term. If Trump wanted to write a book about globalization, it would hardly be a bestseller. The US automotive industry is in decline. Experts predict that in 2025, fewer than 2 million vehicles will be sold. That's an alarm bell. Brands like Hyundai, Toyota, and Nissan are already shifting their production outside the US to avoid trade sanctions. For context, Hyundai and Toyota now manufacture more than half of their cars outside the US, and GM isn't falling behind, allocating $5 billion to electric vehicle production in, guess where, Mexico. While Trump keeps repeating his America First speech, GM is already in the next stage. The real headline is that the president's economic policy is like a plane flying straight into a storm, outdated, disconnected from reality, and bound for turbulence. GM, on the other hand, is leading the way toward a future of efficient and global mobility. While Trump gets entangled in trade disputes, China is accelerating its race to dominate the electric sector, developing battery technology and production capacity as if it were the only priority. And if that weren't enough, Ford dropped its own bomb. Another 2,000 jobs disappear in the US, and millions of dollars are redirected. No complaints, no confrontations, they simply exited the market. This leaves us with one last big question. Are we facing a betrayal of American industry, or the shrewdest move for survival? Ford's shift, from local hero in Detroit to global competitor, was an unexpected earthquake. For over a century, it was the industrial heart of Michigan. It wasn't just a company, it was a symbol, a daily routine for thousands of workers. But then the news came. Models like the Focus, the C-Max, and much of their electric line would no longer be produced on US soil. No more active assembly lines at night, no more workers clocking in proudly, no more promises to keep it local. Why? Ford couldn't survive the economic storm triggered by tariffs. Steel became more expensive, aluminum became a luxury, and lithium, key for electric cars, tripled between 2020 and 2024. To make matters worse, 80% of global lithium is refined in China. With tariffs in place, Ford was left paying the bill. Manufacturing electric cars in the US costs 25% more than doing it abroad. Ford didn't betray its country, it was simply cornered. This isn't just a business dispute, it's a clash of systems. Tesla doesn't play by traditional rules. It's not just a car manufacturer, it's a full-fledged platform. From lithium extraction to artificial intelligence training, they control everything without intermediaries or dealerships. While Ford remains stuck in union negotiations and outdated structures, Tesla operates as an entirely different production civilization. In response, Ford redesigned its story with the T3 project, a $50 billion investment, a key partnership with BML for solid-state batteries, and robotic production lines where 90% of the work is done by machines. Electric cars capable of traveling 1 million miles and charging in minutes. No dealerships, just a click on the phone and you're done. Ford is no longer making cars, it's designing the future with every technological blueprint. The reaction was immediate and fierce. Some called it betrayal. Trump responded with threats, tariffs, blacklists, penalties on contracts. But Ford didn't waver. No media tours or excuses. Just a direct statement from CEO Jim Farley. Would you rather lose 2,000 jobs now or 20,000 in 5 years? That's not blackmail, it's survival. They didn't ignore the country. They made a rational decision to keep existing in a world changing faster than politics can keep up. Giving up a tradition isn't easy, but sometimes the most patriotic thing is to guarantee a tomorrow. In Hollywood terms, Ford chose the hero's path, adapt or disappear. They know the script changed. You can't lead the future by holding onto the past. Politicians may fall behind, but markets don't wait. If you blink, you become irrelevant. While Trump clings to his virtual monologues, Ford is rewriting the industry. No more old factories, no more dependence on Washington. They're creating smart facilities where robots outperform humans, hiring software engineers instead of operators, and delivering cars like streaming content, fast, efficient, and on demand. If they're successful, Ford will become the model for America's industrial renaissance. If they fail, it will be a warning to all the titans still living in the past century. Because this isn't just about Ford, it's about the survival of American manufacturing in a technology-driven economy. What we're seeing isn't just a business strategy change, it's a complete reconfiguration of the global economic map. Big corporations no longer think in terms of borders, they think in terms of efficiency, access to raw materials, scalable technology, and speed of adaptation. In this scenario, political decisions carry less weight. General Motors, Ford, and Tesla aren't betraying the United States. They're reading the global context better than the lawmakers themselves. They understand that the future isn't negotiated with speeches. It's built with vision, investment, and innovation. Meanwhile, Washington remains stuck in tariff wars that feel more like the 1980s than the world of 2025. And this has deep consequences. Unions lose power, traditional workers are displaced, and cities that were once industrial centers enter a quiet decline. Detroit, Cleveland, even parts of Ohio and Pennsylvania are being dismantled economically not by lack of patriotism, but by strategic obsolescence. At the same time, countries like Mexico, Vietnam, India, and China are attracting investments that would have been unthinkable before. They're doing it with aggressive tax policies, modern infrastructure, and a workforce ready for the digital revolution. The competition is no longer just about cheaper production, it's about faster production, with more intelligence, and a smaller ecological footprint. And here comes the other major player, China. While the United States consumes itself in internal disputes and trade strategies from the past century, Beijing advances like an unstoppable machine. Its dominance in lithium, solid-state batteries, semiconductors, and artificial intelligence is no accident. It's the result of a long-term industrial policy that has turned the country into the backbone of the global energy transition. The paradox is brutal. While the US sanctions Chinese companies, American multinationals continue to depend on the inputs those same companies produce. It's like trying to run a marathon with your shoelaces tied. And amidst all this, Japan emerges as an unexpected player. The decision by the Japanese central bank to tighten its monetary policy and allow for a gradual appreciation of the yen has triggered a wave of external investments into its financial assets. Hedge funds, insurers, and even European banks are moving capital to Tokyo, seeking stability and profitability. This has sparked a silent war in the financial markets. While the Federal Reserve is forced to maintain high rates to curb inflation, Japan has become an unexpected refuge for global capital. And that has a domino effect. The dollar weakens, American products become even more expensive abroad, and industrial competitiveness suffers. Once again, the winners are not in Washington. They're in innovation centers in Shenzhen, automated factories in Osaka, labs in Mumbai, and industrial parks in Mexico's Bajío region. If the US doesn't react soon, the leadership it had during the 20th century will be just a glorious memory, because the future doesn't stop, and companies have already decided where they're headed. It's not about being patriotic or globalist, it's about being smart. If you enjoyed the video and would like to continue learning about technology and markets, subscribe to Data Dollar and leave a like. See you next time.